I've seen friends of friends who have been like, wow, this song, like, how did you get like 200,000 streams in 3 days when you have 300 followers on it? I mean, like, that's cool. Like, that can be a thing that happens. Sometimes your presence, it's Uruguay. Cool. Okay. Yeah.
The fact that I don't get is when you see stupid people going, seriously, cough in my face, and then
Just
like,
do it, bro.
and then the person walks off going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, these guys, like, there's this crazy one.
I just do it.
He's like going, cough in my face, bro, cough in my face. And this guy walks, I don't know why he sounds Kiwi, but he walks off and he's like, see, people are scared to cough in people's faces now. I'm like,
People weren't super thrilled about doing that
No.
in the first place.
I don't think it was the thing that you just like went over. Like,
Just
hey,
degrading.
I don't think it was ever like if in fashion and all of a sudden the government has made it uncool. Like,
Are you a hugger, a handshaker, or do you just prefer the
no,
cough?
I prefer the cough.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, hey, how you going? Well, this is gonna be bad. I get tested fortnightly for COVID just for work.
Right. Smart.
So if we come back positive after this, we know it was
It
this
was the
situation
cough.
that
It was
put
the
us in
cough.
problem.
And maybe that should have been a rule in place.
Probably,
For
yeah.
sure.
Anyway, so sorry, Scott, if you got COVID. All right, that's a really good note to welcome.
Yeah.
Well,
Everybody,
the thing.
welcome back to Fresh and Fresh.
That's a great note. We might all have COVID. So puff your heart away.
Hey.
Hey.
You can't get COVID twice. Oh, actually, it hasn't been proven yet, has it? Probably should find out.
All right. Everybody, welcome back to Fresh and Zesty, the #1 music podcast in Australia.
Facts.
If you haven't subscribed or liked this already, please do, because
Just fucking do it.
just do it. Come on.
Like, what's
Don't-
the point in even watching if you're not subscribed?
It's enough. We're giving you all the tricks and all the shit. So
You missed the whole line. Okay, let me say it. So we're a bit rusty on this
No,
one.
I did. I just,
we're
like,
number
I tried to
one,
change.
but you know, it's
I said that.
it just shows you how good we will
Look,
be.
Your mum's #1 podcast. She loves it.
She loves that.
It's great.
She does.
She
Bro,
loves
my
it.
mum would never watch this. I'd be. Actually, I'm already disowned. I'd be disowned again.
A second.
Can't be disowned. Oh, that's COVID. Hasn't been proved. Hasn't been
Right.
proved. Hasn't been proved.
Oh man.
Anyway, we'll make you famous from watching this.
All right.
So you're going to be famous after this.
All right. Our guest today is the lovely, the one, the only David Taylor, artist from
Thank you.
Sydney. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Artist from Sydney, Australia. Yeah. Is that
Correct.
correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Fuck yeah. We like. I've known David for probably like a year and a half now. I think like properly,
Yeah.
roughly. Yeah.
About that.
I met
Year and a
you
half, 2 years,
when I was
maybe.
working at Crowbar.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
I've never met you.
However,
No.
nobody. No,
Simpler
fucking-
times.
No one gives a fuck about you, Blake. Get in the corner.
And yeah, like you. I mean, you've always been a little bit interesting to me. Like, you know. take
Please
that.
elaborate.
I don't know if that's an insult or you're
Always been a
flirting
bit-
with
I
him.
bit
really
interesting.
loved your hair. No, you know, like, because I know, you know, our mutual friend Cam Naxon. Who
Can't
we
stand
had on
him.
the-
Yeah.
Shout
Me
out.
neither. Fuck, worst guy.
Awful guy. Just the
Love
love.
you, Cam.
Love you.
Yeah, like, you know, like I've seen you do work with him, and you know, like, it sort of just intrigued me about what you do in general. You know, because I always see you doing.
So what is that, Jamie? Elaborate.
Live gigs and I'm fucking doing it. Like, literally
Getting there,
saying it right now.
I just had a coffee, all right, and it's kicking in and it's making me anxious.
Yeah, you know, you do a lot of live gigs, and you've got your own artist project as well,
Yeah.
obviously. Which I got to master a couple of songs.
Ooh, master
out.
of. Mix
Shout
and
out to the
master.
Mix and master,
Let's
yes.
do it.
But yeah, like, you know, like I was just like your view on a couple of things that we want to talk about today is, you know, just like artists getting gigs, whether they be the pub gigs or like corporate gigs, or, you know, gigs for an artist project, and,
Sure.
you know, tours and things like that.
Yeah.
And as well as that, which is more to the point, especially after, you know, well, COVID, I really wanted to know how you thought the music industry was going to change.
Because of COVID? Or
Well,
just
yeah, I feel like it
irrespective?
was just, I guess also irrespective of it, because I feel like it was already coming to a turning point.
Yeah, for sure.
But now with this added pressure, yeah, where sort of like you imagine that it would go in terms of live music, not necessarily the, you know, like the corporate side of things, but like just like festivals and live shows, and like, you know, how things will change from now on, so people can, you know, I'm curious, man. I'm real curious.
I mean, it's it's scary. It's like even before COVID, festivals have been cancelled left, right, and center. And it's people aren't necessarily spending money on going to live music anymore. It's that whole thing of, in order to get a spot at a festival, you need to have great streaming numbers.
Yeah.
Nobody really cares who you are anymore unless you've got great streaming numbers.
Yeah, right.
I find that so stupid though, because you can buy streaming numbers.
Yeah, I think there's
Like it's such a cheatable thing.
I think that they've cracked down a lot on it now, and there are ways where you can kind of see, like they can weed out who's cheating it and things like that. Like if somebody has 20 million streams and then 3 followers on Instagram or something, or like you can see the cities now where like people are most
coming from.
most streaming. So if
Brazil's
you see,
the one
like,
to look out for.
Brazil and like there's some pretty interesting. Like I've seen friends of friends who I've been like, wow, this song, like, how did you get like 200,000 streams in 3 days when you have 300 followers on it? I mean, like, that's cool. Like, that can be a thing that happens. Sometimes your presence, it's Uruguay. Cool. Okay. That makes more sense now.
Yeah. Giveaway.
Really big in the market, the Uruguayan market.
I didn't know they
So,
spoke English.
neither did I. So it was great for his pop country sounds. It's really just really hitting up the market. But so they kind of look at that, and then there's the whole argument that, I mean, people have kind of had always of the mindset that, well, I mean, it's great, I can go and see them and that's cool, but like, sometimes they're pretty average to be live, so like I'd rather just listen to them on Spotify and stay at home in my PJs and not go out. And then I think with the whole COVID thing that's happening now and all these live stream festivals and live stream concerts and things like that, I think it's been a nice temporary placement. But I'm very scared that it's going to become a bit of a, well, not necessarily the norm, I suppose, but it's going to become more common, and it's going to become people being like, why would we pay $60 to see a ticket? And then it's going to become artists being like, well, instead of paying $60 to see me, pay 25, and then I have no production costs really, because we're not hiring a venue, we're not hiring production. Like, all we're paying a production team a very small fee. So it could go either way. It could very much be we're now doing that and that's the norm, and there's like 1 or 2 big festivals a year, or it could just it's unprecedented. But I think people are kind of it's scary. It's really scary. So that's just the original scene anyway.
Yeah,
so
but doesn't that do you think that kind of puts a little bit of pressure on the artist to start not being complacent, and they're going, all right, how do I make it worth the money? Because like, I'm a big advocate of, you're creating an, like, again, come from the fan point of view or the viewer point of view or whatever it is, like, there's a reason why there's still people that watch movies in the cinemas. Like, I'm one of them, because again, it's not the movie I'm going to see. It's like, it's the movie plus I want to get out of the fucking house. I want to, just do something, have a dinner after, and like all those other things. Like, for me personally, and like, I mean, I guess I hate to say this, we're from an era before the internet.
Rough times. What must that have been like?
But like, there's things that shows physically will give us, but streaming won't. For example, I can't randomly bump into a girl in the mosh pit and strike up a conversation and potentially get laid at home while streaming.
Exactly. Or it'd be a whole different kettle of fish.
I mean, you can.
Depends where you're from, I suppose.
DMs, I guess.
Like your wife's there.
That's who I often bump into. It's lucky, because, I mean,
we don't know who else is
all bets are off if it's someone else.
That might be a whole different conversation we have to have. Let's just cut that bit from the record.
I mean, like, that's why I stream now.
So I'm past that, but everyone else.
But there's like, and how, like, you can't experience the lights, you can't experience the atmosphere. Like, there's an energy to live that maybe as an artist we have a huge responsibility. For sure. I mean, it's not about what's due to us, it's what's due to your fans.
Yeah. It was kind of like that before all this happened, I suppose. I mean, I love Ed Sheeran. I've seen him when he came here 2 or 3 years ago, when he was here doing the arena show at ANZ.
I coughed that way. I should. Hey, it's like when you accidentally fart. You know what? Never mind.
But so I saw him a couple of years ago, and then he came back last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was, and I was like, I've seen it now. He's cool. Like he does his thing with the loop pedal, and it's great. And he's sick, but
yeah.
Okay. Whereas I've seen like Robbie Williams, I'm also a massive fan of, and I've seen him 5 or 6 times, I think now.
Because he reinvents his shows.
Every single time I go,
100%.
I know you're gonna get Angels at the end, and that's great. That's what people go for. But besides that, nothing else is the same. He has a different band, a different whatever, a different completely. Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't even have to be on that scale of things. I mean, even a small scale of what I'm doing every time, like we create a show, it has to be completely different to the last one. And even if that's just with myself and Cam and Mosley as a drummer, or add different pieces into the band, or take things out, or change the songs, and there's only so much you can do on a indie budget, I suppose. But I mean, it's that effective.
But you can get creative, man.
Well, you can.
Marilyn
like,
Manson lit shit on stage, and that was on no budget.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuck a microphone in a hooker's butt. Like, I mean, there's always options.
I don't want to give away too much, but we are heading in that direction. My next trick, we're going to pull a mic out of Cam's ass. So, surprise. But yeah, I guess it's that effective. I guess every artist wants to not only have people going away from their shows feeling more connected to them, but it can go either way. Of you need to be so incredibly good at what you're doing, which I think Ed Sheeran is, and he captures that market where people are like, I would see that over and over and over again, whereas I'm like, I think he's phenomenal, but I don't need to see that again. Like, I've seen it, I loved it, it was worth the 100 and whatever I paid for it, but I don't need to see it again. Whereas people like Robbie, or even Gang of Youths, that was just, it wasn't even a dramatic change in their 2 shows, but there was enough difference there where I was like, I feel like I've seen Gang of Youths do their Go Farther and Lightness, whatever their first tour was. I've seen them do that, and now I'm seeing them do their Go Farther and Lightness tour.
Well, and it was like Tash Sultana.
Well, exactly.
Tash Sultana, I could not listen to her at all in like a Spotify sense.
Yeah.
Not a fan. I saw her live and I was like, fuck me, like this is mad.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't watch her a second time because I was just like, it's the same thing. Like, but she's incredibly talented, and that was enough of a differentiation for, you know, like I said, like me, not a fan in the slightest, to being like, wow, I really respect her as a skillful musician in that regard. But again, like Ed Sheeran, seen it.
Well, that's the thing. It's I guess if you have fans that are dedicated enough, then
they're the ones you got to focus on.
Well, they're the ones you got to focus on to an extent, because if they're a fan, you love them and appreciate them, and they're the ones that buy all the merch. And davidtaylormusic.com.au shirts are on sale now. Thank you very much. Link in bio.
Link in description.
You love those fans who will, whatever you know, and as cliche and corny as it is to say, they're the fans that become part of the family. I hate using
the
that
cult,
word.
Sure.
Well, yeah, exactly. I hate using it because everyone's like, we're all family. And it's like, fuck off, you don't give a shit about me. Like, you just take my money. But when you're from the other side of things, and especially where I'm not necessarily where I want to be yet, but even just seeing that growth in the last few years, those people that were there at the first local show when I was 14 are still there when I did my last tour. And
when you were 15.
When I was 15. And now as a 16-year-old, I'm really just hoping that I crack the market. But like, it's those people that stay with you all the time and buy the merch. And I think those are the family, or the cult following, where I could drop a hip-hop album tomorrow and they'd be like, sick, I'm on board, let's do it, because we want to follow that.
They're like your friends in a way, because they've been along. Like, why do you have a friendship with certain people? It's because you've shared life events together.
Exactly.
And it's the same with your fans.
It just happens that it's on the other side of, like, they're your friends, but you know, they buy things. They're your fans who pay to be friends with. Like, it's
the best setup.
It's the best kind of setup. But no, like, I recognize those people, and I, you know, will see them at a concert, and hopefully if I get to where I want to be, they'll still be the people there, and they're the people that I can be like, you know, I can now afford to give you free tickets and help support you the way that you've supported me.
100%.
So I guess, to come back to that point of artists need to I guess, cater to those people. I think it's so hard to put this right, but I think there's less of a need to cater to those people, because I think that they will always be there to support you, and you've done the legwork and they're there. Like, you obviously appreciate and love them. But I think there has to be an aspect of, well, if I just cater to this crowd, then I'm still going to be playing 150 to 300 cap shows. Where's the growth? Like, what am I going to do differently? That you need to make sure you keep that. I think you hope that they remain loyal to you, so you need to make sure that you've still got the bones of your thing, but you need to be able to go, well, this is great, I love you, please come on this journey with me, but now we gotta start getting some other people, because if we don't, like, let's grow together. It's kind of the idea of hoping they grow with you. So.
Well, reinventing anyway keeps them interested, because bro, you could play the same song, they're not like Ed Sheeran. You know, that's not enough to get you coming back. I mean, he's super fans probably, but you know, you were reinventing. You hear it, any successful artist like Jared Leto. He is a successful rebrander over and over and over again. That's why he's successful.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
it's keeping people on their toes, and also keeping yourself interested as well. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's no, if you're doing the same thing over and over again, it's like, what am I doing it for? It does. Yeah,
100%.
So, yeah, I think it's a really interesting. Nobody's cracked it. If we did, we wouldn't be. We would be a hell of a lot richer than we are now. So,
so in terms of your, like, the tour you went on, was it October, November last year, or before that?
It was just before Corona.
September, October.
Oh, it was well before Corona. It would have been. I think the last show would have been September.
It was just before.
It was before Cam's wedding, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah, so I mean, like I know like a little bit of, like, you know, Cam's process and things like that in terms of building the shows, but I guess in that aspect, like, apart from the obvious changes, like you being 16, not 14,
exactly, big.
And,
he's hit puberty now.
Yeah. Big man.
What what were some of the things? I guess what's changed about, like, I guess your sound, like the songs. Were the songs different?
I think it was that particular tour was a challenge, in the sense of I'd not toured for probably 2 to 3 years.
Right.
So I released the album in 2015.
Yeah, okay.
So, even longer than, I released it in 2015, 2016.
Yeah, right.
And then toured it for a bit, and it did really well. Did 30, 40 odd shows, which were small capped little regional things, and they were great, and I got to meet a bunch of people, and it was amazing. But that was just me, like, it was just me and a guitar, so it was just a solo kind of project. And then I went to the States for a few years and did some shows over there, and worked on cruise ships and things. That's a dirty word at the moment, you can't say that.
You worked on
ages. I worked on and did that, and did some shows on land, and kind of still had me just doing it. And Cam was kind of always in the background. And I guess for this particular the chapter 2 tour, as it was, I'd released Keep Falling and Battered, which are available on Spotify.
Keep Falling's actually sick.
Thanks. Sorry, Nervous and Battered. Keep Falling is on the first album, but I appreciate that.
Because I heard that, it's funny, because when I was listening to him, that was the one, like, even halfway through, I'm like, all right, I'm now singing in the car.
Oh, dope.
You know,
yeah.
so...
Yeah. That was from the first album, still available on Spotify. But I released Nervous and Battered last year, which
lovely songs. Absolutely.
The Chunkster
almost brought me to tears when I was mastering those.
I could not imagine you crying.
Oh, bro, I was literally in my room. I was like,
oh shit!
I think it was like I'd done a shift.
Keep it together, Jamie.
I'd done a shift at the bar for one before I mastered one of them.
Yeah.
So I'd come into the studio. I think it was like 1 a.m. or 1:30.
Nice.
And then I started working, and played, gave myself a listen through as my process, and it's just like when the strings came in. I was like,
yeah. It hits hard.
Let's explore this. Why were you going through a hard time at that?
No, not at all, man. I think it was purely just like there's certain times where, I get it a lot. Obviously the 2 songs that I've worked on of yours. where sometimes when a vocal is not delicate in the sense of like, you know, like it's like fragile, but like you can feel the emotion that you put into that performance. And then once you mix that with an instrument so emotive like strings, live strings, not a software instrument. Like this was a live. It was Timmy, wasn't it?
Oh, it was Jess. Jess Graham.
Oh, Jess.
So, yeah.
My apologies.
Yeah. Timmy did.
He did one of the other ones though, didn't he? He did something else.
Did something else. Something a little Timmy Devil.
Yeah, no. Like when you hear something so emotive as a live strings. I don't. For me, like I've got many memories of going to the opera or going to the orchestra with my grandma when I was younger. And I think,
unfortunately, when they were in an alleyway, a robber came and it was just some jewelry was stolen.
And now you fight crime.
I'm the Batman. But no, yeah, I think it's a sense of nostalgia.
Yeah.
But also, like, I just really, I mean, I don't play any apart from guitar. That's not a stringed instrument. It's a guitar.
It is a stringed instrument.
It's a guitar.
Details.
But like, you know, like I just have a thing where like when I hear that sort of stuff, the emotion that comes from it is like beyond anything else that I can, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, like it just like
So
I sort of wasn't
strings
expecting
make you
it
wet.
in a way. Yeah, a little bit. I wasn't expecting the song to, because I'd
This
heard
is
a
good.
little
This
bit
is
of your
therapy.
stuff. Heard a little bit of your stuff, but like not enough
Yeah,
to
this
be
was
like.
this was different. This one hit.
So I was like, yeah, and so yeah, it was like it was a really great, like it was, you know, it was a great like 8 hours that I spent on it.
Crying?
Almost, yeah.
Shit.
On
and
the verge.
half an hour of that was mixing and mastering. So
I feel like he's dehydrated.
Yeah, it's probably the most I've spoken on this podcast
well,
in a row.
I like it. I like it.
so yeah, we did those songs. I don't remember
Jamie
where I
cried.
was going with that, but Jamie cried. It was great, emotional experience. We bonded. And Bad had got the Vander and Young
Yeah, amazing.
thing, which was just gave us heaps of promo, which was phenomenal. Also, it was amazing that happened. And
Yeah, congratulations.
yeah, thank you. It was. It happened. Thank you. Hold your applause. No, it was cool. Like it was completely unexpected, and it was something which I was like, oh shit! Like people are into this. Like this is something which I'd never expected to happen, which was great. And so I guess the tour was because I'd only had 2 new songs, and they were so vastly different as well. Like Nervous is just you're drunk at 3 a.m. and go for gold, whereas Bad It is like cool. So it was hard to kind of base a tour around that, but because I had obviously released 2 new songs and was just trying to drive on that momentum, and did a very small little rebrand at the time with new merch and things like that available. Link in my bio.
MrPotatoHeadMethod.com. Oh wait, that's next episode. Yeah, we bought a URL.
Okay.
Yeah, MrPotatoHeadMethod.com.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. We'll
Just make sure you watch it. Yeah. Just subscribe and you'll see it when it comes up.
Already subscribed, obviously.
Hey, my guy. Anyways,
yeah, it was hard to kind of base a tour around 2 songs, I suppose. Again, 2 vastly different ones. So Cam and I, and again, as we have spoken about before, it's so important to tour to build momentum. Otherwise, you release songs and it dies.
You need people to stumble across you.
You need people to do that, and we all the venues we played were fantastic with promoting and things like that. And we sold out 2 of the shows, and the other one was close to being sold out as well, which was fantastic.
With your shows, do you promote? So like, say, because you're going to the shows, do you minimize the barriers of people following you up by actually handing out cards, marketing, whatever, or do you just kind of hope that they are going to proactively out of their own time search for you?
I mean, again, this was a whole different kind of tour. Like the whole point of this was just to be like, hey, I'm back in Australia. I've released some new songs. This is for the people who have kind of stuck around for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And so the show was very much the first album. Like it was very much this
throwback.
a throwback, and also like it's different to what the new stuff I'm working on and the new project I'm in the direction I'm heading. So I guess it was kind of that tour was kind of like, this is a thank you for everyone that's stuck around through everything, because my sound has been the same for so long and the brand has been very similar. So it was kind of closing off. It was called Chapter 2 tour, but it was basically closing off that chapter and being like, I'm finished with this now. Let's celebrate these 2 new songs, which are in the same vein. But let's celebrate these 2 songs, and let's celebrate
The old stuff.
everything we've been through together through this journey, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I guess the marketing wasn't super pushed. I guess it was kind of just seeing. It was me seeing what would happen, because I'd not toured in so long, and I guess I wanted to. Which wouldn't recommend not marketing, obviously, but I guess I was at a point where I was kind of unsure, because I had ideas for this new project, but I was like, I don't know whether.
Put some feelers out first.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to see if people were still interested in me and what I was doing.
Would you do that differently now with what you know?
Oh, for sure.
Because like the goal of this too is to make sure everyone listening is like, all right, sweet, I can take that nugget away.
Yeah.
What would you do now with, I mean, you've done the tester, and what most people do is they do a song, then they expect someone who's just come across them to proactively go out of their line. When they sober up the next morning, go like, oh, what was the name of that guy that performed? Oh yeah, it was this guy's name.
Yeah.
I'm going to now proactively search.
Yeah.
What are some methods you would suggest, and I mean you do yourself, in order to take away those barriers, so that, again, if someone drunkenly wakes up the next morning, you wake up sober.
Well,
it depends actually.
I've definitely woken up drunk.
But what would you say that you would do, and that someone else could do, like another artist watching this could do?
Yeah. I guess we haven't really cracked it yet, obviously. But I guess what I would do differently, again, it's such a hard conversation, because we sold out those shows without marketing and without things like that, just purely based on the people who had kind of been with me throughout. So that whole tour was again very much so a celebration of it all. You're all invited. Like, it was literally just through our social media where I was like,
that's cool.
The ticket. Well, it's amazing.
Awesome. That's very humbling.
That was kind of the test to see if I was fully prepared to spend a few grand in marketing. And I mean, the hard thing as well, which people don't understand.
Let's explore that. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the marketing you spent, because that's another thing that a lot of artists don't do. It's very much a receiving thing. Like, no, I should get this. I should do this.
That's crap.
You've spent a couple of $1,000s to market something. Now there is smart spending and there's dumb spending. Like pressing the boost button on your Facebook is dumb.
Yeah, exactly.
Like little Aunt Sally
Every
doesn't want to hear about your
post
fucking
on
hip hop
Facebook
album.
is an ad as well.
Exactly. What did those couple of $1,000? What did you do? Where did you invest, and how did you, like, what was the creative part to it? Because there's obviously a creative and a money thing. Like, more money doesn't mean that people give a fuck.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what did you do?
Well, we didn't for the tour. Like, we had it there in the back burner if we needed it, but we didn't, which was great. Okay. But at the same time, obviously, if I did a show tomorrow, the exact same people would be there, and there's been no growth because you haven't marketed.
So what would you do?
Well, what we did for this Battered, which was why it was so successful, it's the first time I invested properly in some PR. A lot of people, it's a really hard thing, because people in the industry kind of don't understand it, and people who aren't in the industry don't even get remotely close to, because again, like small cap shows, but our overheads were very small, and still selling all those tickets, well, I still lost money on a sold out tour, because it just isn't a viable. Original music in Australia is not.
Do you think you may be underpricing your tickets then?
Potentially. And again, I think I would maybe do that differently, but even still, that money I wouldn't charge people more for a ticket to then put on the same show. Like, I think it's...
Could you add intangibles that cost you no money, but then give them a tangible value?
You could
on it?
potentially. I haven't figured out what that is yet. So if you let me know, if you
We're
find
gonna
out,
talk
let
about
me know.
Yeah. Well, okay. Actually, no. Fuck it. Let's explore this.
Yeah.
Because like, if someone out there will get value from this.
Yeah. But
What are some
I think with
things?
marketing, from your point earlier, I think it's you need to invest. It's the most important thing.
Yeah.
That's where all the labels have their acts. Obviously, they've got pockets in all the radio stations and everything.
But that's
and-
marketing in itself.
But exactly.
That's networking.
exactly
Networking is
right.
marketing.
Exactly. So you need to be willing to spend that money, but not only do you need to be willing to spend that money, you need to be willing to spend that money with the understanding
That you might not get anything back.
that you probably won't get it back. Like
Yeah.
you need to it's an investment
Yeah.
in yourself, it's an investment in your business.
But how can we explore that so that it is something we get the money back? Because the biggest way to kill your music career is marketing with a negative
Yeah.
return.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's investment, but like you don't want to be investing, say, across 10 years, 200 grand,
For sure.
and then being like, well, fuck, if I redirected my marketing here, I would have actually made 300 grand, you know? So
I think that's just a case of trial and error.
it is
Well, it is,
100%.
No.
And it's dependent purely on, you as an artist or, producer or whatever, who you're trying to market yourself to
Yeah.
and the content that you give them.
Yeah.
Well, that's the most important thing, right? You can market it. You can spend so much money on marketing that every single person in the world, like, look at what
see
U2 did with that album.
Yeah,
It was on iTunes. Everyone was like, "Oh, we have this, so we're forced to listen to it." And because it was U2, some people were like, "This is sick."
Honestly,
Thanks so
that put me
much."
on you too.
Well, that's what I mean. There were
I like that
there were
album.
cases like that, and then there were other people
People
who
were
were like,
offended like
How
it was a
dare you.
breach of their privacy. I'm
Well,
like, what
yeah.
the fuck?
Exactly.
You just go, do you know what
just
you
got a
do?
free album.
Delete it.
Yeah, but people were put off. People who were fans of U2 were put off U2. People who weren't fans of U2 were
Put
like,
on.
"This is sick." But
Yeah,
then there
it's
were
a tit for tat. Really.
Exactly,
You can't,
it's-
like, you can't please everyone. You're gonna piss off someone.
Exactly.
You could say the sky's blue and piss off someone.
Exactly. But that's the thing is, if the content's not there, you can have every single person in the world
Yeah.
listening to it, but you're not going to connect with someone if the content's shit.
Well, that's the thing they say. The quickest way to kill a shit product is great marketing, because everyone will buy your shit once,
Yeah.
and
then
never
you'll be
buy it
dead.
again.
Yeah, exactly. So it's product. I mean, it all comes down to you can have the best marketing team in the world, but if they don't believe in the product, and if the product isn't good,
It has to be good.
it has to be good. Otherwise, as you said,
But it has to be
it's-
good for the right people. you know?
Exactly.
Again, like marketing freaking, Jay-Z to an 87-year-old
not gonna
mother of
last.
3. She probably does a grandmother
She
of
might.
3.
But
Look, it's
Yeah.
statistically
she's still
though,
not going to be
probably
the one
not
coming to the concert. Exactly.
She's not a
So-
bit of a mosh pitter.
Yeah, so it's all about finding your target audience, which is again what we had attempted to do, and I think we have a pretty firm grasp of what my demographic is
And what is that? What did you figure out through trial and error? Who was like, if you had to vastly like categorize, which I usually hate doing, but for marketing purposes, like there's always an average style of person.
for sure.
Who for you? Who would you say off the top of the head is like an example? If you're like talking, because the reason that we say this about niche, if you're trying to talk to everyone, you talk to no one.
Well, that's the thing.
And then once you know who you're talking to, like say, for example, nothing to do with you, but like, all right, I'm talking to someone who's around the age of, 18 through to 28. They're into country music and they're into fucking, I don't know, they love a good beer. All of a sudden, all your posts, your songs maybe even, but how you talk on your social media, your marketing, if you're talking to that style of person, guess what? It's going to push away the people that don't like it. It's going to bring in the people that do like it. But then all of a sudden, people know who the fuck you are.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're bringing in the right people. So
Brand. It's
exactly.
the most
And it makes
important.
it
Just
easier.
do it. Have a recognizable brand. If people see that tick, they know it's
100%.
it's Nike, and you know if you love or you hate it. Like
Yeah.
you need to have something that's. That was the problem with what I had, is that I came into the market at the same time the Biebers and the thing like that happened, and so we were very much like, oh, well, it worked for him. Let's make it work for. Let's target that teen girl audience. And as at the time, I was also a teen guy, so it worked.
Yeah, you're
more,
15.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was 6 months ago. It was a big. Bieber's just come back around now. So yeah. So we were hitting that market, and it worked. It did really well because at the time that's what we were focusing on, and I guess there's been so much up in the air with my brand in particular, where it's changed so subtly over the years, and color schemes have changed, and everything has changed, that I've been bad at it, to be fair, where I've not stuck to a thing. And I guess a lot of that also comes with growth, being a little
you as a person,
a little older now, as an old 22-year-old man.
I think it was 16.
Are you actually 22?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You're young.
It's crazy. But I think even at this
I feel
point,
really old now, bro.
So old.
Jesus.
Fuck me.
Oh my God.
and it'll change again in 5-10 years, I'm sure. But
You'll be 27.
Exactly. It's maths. I might shave this off and I'll become 16 again. But yeah, maths. I think there was so much of me growing as a musician and not knowing what I wanted to do, and as a result, I kind of took people on so many different. You listen to the first album, and it's like the first is like, oh, this is like the script, this is like sick, and then the second song you're like, it's still kind of there, and then the third song you're like, oh, Keep Falling, like we're gonna have like a ballady kind of vibe. This is cool, and then we're like, oh, this is country, cool. Oh, this is now dance. And oh, this is even heavier dance and disco, and now it's stopped and we're back to pop rock, and then it's what's he do? Yeah, let's skip this track. And then it's rounded off really nicely.
But that's good though, because
it was an experimental,
and that's the thing,
to see
like,
what stuck.
It was also what you like.
Well, it was.
Know,
I was like, here are all
we're
my
always changing.
ideas. I don't have them. This is what's
100%.
going on in my head right now. This is my 10 different personalities going bang. Like it was just a clusterfuck of an album, in lack of a better term. And as a result, the branding
didn't make sense.
emulated
What could
that.
you do
The
with
branding
it?
stuck
Yeah.
with that, because it's like, is he country? Is he pop? Is he this? Is he dance? Is he? How do we market this kid? Like, how do we do it? And then they were just like broad. Like, let's just market it as he's a young guy who sings and has songs, so the teenage girls will like it.
Just show the long hair.
Yeah, well, I didn't have it. Like, then that was the problem.
Actually, you were saying before this, and this is an interesting thing. I'm always talking about like brand, like every part of you is a brand. You were saying before this, it's like just growing your hair was all of a sudden made you marketable.
Yeah.
You know, because I had the reverse when I was an actor.
Right.
They were like, I had long hair. And they're like, we can't get you in front of things. I was like, fuck you, I'm keeping it long.
Exactly.
Didn't get much of an acting career, did I?
Yeah, well, it's not even necessarily, obviously the long hair and a little bit of facial hair and things helped me become more marketable. I think I still could have been marketable without it, but just in a different avenue. I think what has happened now, and I'm at the first time in my life and in my career, and I think it's showing with the conversations I'm having and the people I'm talking to about it, and the team I'm now got behind me and things like that, where it's, for so long it was just like, fuck it, he's a headless chook, let him run around and do his shit until he crashes and decides what he wants to like do. And I was like, okay, well, I've had my sound, I've had my thing, and now I've got and I was talking to you about this earlier, where it's, instead of that 10 album track where you said it to people and they're like, oh, this is cool, but
what is it?
what? Like, I don't understand what the hell is going on. Because you have experimental albums, but there's still like a thing that runs through. Whereas mine was just like a kid with ADHD being like, this is cool shiny thing. This wow. Like, what did you?
No,
like,
so Scott called it something. So because Stacey, my wife, suffers from ADHAS. ADHLAS. Yeah, it's like, so it's like, oh, I suffer from ADH. Oh, no, fuck you said. I know I'm gonna fuck it up.
Attention deficit. Hey, look, a squirrel.
I like
Because
that.
we were in the car and Stacey's like, look, I was some sort of point that I was trying to point on her, and she's like, she goes, look, here's the thing. By the way, Scott, because Scott's from Brisbane, saying she's just come down.
Sure.
And she's like, Scott, when I say here's the thing, it means like I'm about to drop something. Anyway, oh my gosh, there is a dinosaur out front of that house. Can we stop and get it? And we're like, huh?
Where were you driving, bro?
Oh, bro. We're in the hood.
The year 6.
The year 6.
Yeah.
We've been together a long time.
But yeah, so she's like, oh my gosh, yeah, cool. And then it was 5 minutes later, and she still hasn't dropped this bomb that she's going to drop on us. And she's like, oh man, look, okay, it's coming. What's going on out there? And we don't have squirrels, okay, here. There's no squirrels in Australia.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
like,
not a
what
thing.
the fuck?
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. Hey, look, a squirrel.
um,
I don't know.
but that was the whole thing. It was very much that. It was just like God knows what was going on in my brain. I was young and I was this was all exciting, and I was recording in amazing studios with amazing producers, and they were just super supportive, and well, Pete was who I worked, Pete Holes,
Amazing dude.
who's just done, oh my God, everything and everyone.
Insane.
And he's just like one of the, if not the best in the country. And he was so patient and so amazing with me, because I just came in and he'd had just finished a vocal session with John Farnham, or he'd just done a production with Gang of
That's
Youths.
pretty good.
And then I'd walk in and be like, hello, what are we going to do today? Like, let's fucking do this. A
squirrel!
Yeah, oh, wow. Oh boy, I don't know why I went like Mickey Mouse all of a sudden. I just came in one day as Mickey Mouse.
That's how I sounded when I was 15.
We recorded the Disney album and it was great. And yeah, I came in and he was like, what are we going to do here? And I was like, we're going to do a dance track. And he's like, but the last one was a country track. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay. Sure. Like, no worries. And I was talking to Pete about it the other day as well. And he was like, you just needed to find yourself. And
But he allowed you to explore.
But he did. And
you
he
know,
was
like,
so,
you're
he was
outside.
incredible that he did that. And he came up with 10 tracks, which like whatever the fuck was going on in my head, he was like, this is
What it was.
this is what it was.
What was
And
the
I
name of the album?
Thoughts Than Reality. Which
Kind
is
of applicable.
Yeah, kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it was the thoughts of what the fuck was going on and the reality of it wasn't that good. Probably shouldn't have been thinking those things. Maybe we don't have an 80s synth running over something else, but it catered to my every
Current need.
every current need at the time. And there were times where he'd get to a point where he's like, David, we really don't need someone yodeling in the back of this song. Like, I'm gonna draw the line. This is probably
80
where
cents
we
is fine. Yodeling, no.
no, it's where we yodeling over the 80 synth, which is why it didn't make any sense. But he was great, and I'm still, super stoked with how all those songs have turned out, and they're a lot of fun to play live, and they have a lot of meaning behind them and a great story. But they
It could probably give a good dynamic for live as well.
well,
because
it
you can't get
definitely
bored.
did. People are definitely not bored. I'll tell you that much. Cam had a nightmare MDing the whole thing because he's like, why the fuck are we? This just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I think now, moral of the story is I've come to a point where I've got 50 or so demos which are similar.
Yeah.
Not similar as in every song sounds like every song is completely different, but you listen to every single one of the songs and there's not one that stands out as
There's a core root to it.
There is a core root to it, and it's, I think every single one of the songs and the sounds emulates the new brand and the new direction. So I think for the first time, and again, as I was saying, I've already found a lot of success and interest in it, because not even because the brand is great. Like, the brand is just the brand. It's not released yet. We're working on getting it out. Like, there's nothing that I'm not coming out being like, I've got this idea. It's a tick. Just do it. Like, just like let's. I'm not coming up with some brilliant brainstorming idea, but it's people are listening because I'm going in and being like, these are my songs. This is my sound. This is my brand. This is my target demographic that has been marketed and structured to, and I know who I am.
What was your target demographic again?
Very much the teenage girl
Yeah.
kind of thing. And there's still elements of that in there because you don't want to lose that market. But obviously, as they've grown up with me, they've matured, as have I, and as has my sound. So we're still catering to that younger market, but also you want it to
nostalgia is
be
a powerful thing.
Nostalgia is a powerful
so they
thing,
can
but-
connect to that as well.
Yeah, you want to be able to have the all ages show and sell it out, and you want to be able to have the 18+ show and have it be a completely different show and still sell that out with the same songs. Have the songs catered across the board, but just add a few more swears in it and a few
the
more
way you do it.
the way you present it. So I
Yeah.
think it's the first time in my career that I've gone, instead of here's this and then here's this, and I'm thinking maybe this color palette, but then with me looking like this, but then also we're gonna do this sound. It's me going,
It's interesting you say
David
color
Taylor.
palette.
yeah,
So you're referring to the marketing in general, just like.
yeah, like
Or do you mean musically? Like there's like
musically-
you see a color when you hear a song.
Well, a bit of both. Like you hear different colors when I don't know if you guys do that as well, but you can hear see different colors when you listen to songs.
It's
But
emotions.
well, yeah, it's emotions as well. But and the album also had a purpley, bluey, pinky color, like just physically had that color, and so then all the banners had that, and all the marketing had that, and all the everything. But then that didn't. It's hard to be like, this color doesn't work with this sound. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but it didn't. It just didn't work. Whereas the colors we're using now and the imagery we're using now,
All makes sense.
it all ties together for the first time ever, where I've got, instead of 50 different things, I've got one thing where I'm like, done.
Yeah.
This is your thing. This is how it's going to be successful. Whether that changes in 5-10 years time, I'm not sure, but for the foreseeable future, every time I'm going into a session, I'm going into a session with, this is what the sound is, so create it. Or this is what the image is, so let's take photos in these locations and having me look like that and dress in a certain way. Like
man,
even like
That's so good.
this like outfit is super
Looks great on
relaxed
you.
and things. But even things
really
like
do
that,
flirt with him a lot.
you just
I'm
what
jealous.
happens after the
Yeah,
podcast
stop being
stays
jealous.
after the podcast. But even things like when I'm seen anywhere now, or whenever a photo is taken, it has to be like if I rocked up in a Chunkyluv sweatshirt, people would be like, "This is the coolest guy ever," obviously. But they'd be like, "But he's not.
He's not cool.
He's not on brand.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
doing?
Like,
Yeah.
people will now see this similar kind of vibes to what's going on,
Yeah.
and be like, oh, that's David. That's his brand. That's his style. That's his ideologies of what he's speaking about. Like we know what he stands for, what his ideas are, what his sound is, what his image is. We get it. We're there.
Yeah.
We love it, or we hate it. And if you hate it, then
Yeah.
shame. Try again in 5 years. But like,
But that's true. Like, you want either way, people need to get it. Like, I mean, even the haters, well, the people who don't like you, I hate the
Yeah.
haters.
Well, they understand why they don't
They
like
understand.
they understand. Like, I don't like it because of this, not because of. I hate it because I don't know what the fuck.
Well, that's the thing.
On.
Like, love me or hate me, but just don't be indifferent. Because if you're indifferent, I don't get
I should be
tension.
able
I
to
don't
win
get
you at- yeah,
branding. Like,
exactly.
because you don't care. Like, whereas if you hate me, you're probably more likely to be like, fuck you, and like
Yeah.
just interacting with your shit. And all of a
Exactly.
sudden, you're pushing it up. Thanks, guys.
yeah, exactly. It's weird, man. Nobody's got a set structure to it. Nobody understands. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I have any idea what's going on. It's all trial and error. But I think from experience, the limited experience I have had, and from conversations I've had, and even just what's happening now, I just know that it's the most important thing. And I think everyone kind of gets that as well.
Yeah.
It's like, it comes back to the whole thing you were saying before of great marketing, but if you have a shitty product, then
It'll be killed pretty quick.
it'll be killed pretty quickly. If you have a product which you believe in, like, and you know how to market it, then it's more likely to be successful as opposed to I'm selling bananas, but now I'm also selling race cars.
Yeah.
Like, this is my brand, get on board.
banana race cars.
Banana race cars.
That's so cool.
We'll talk about that later.
Well, marketing.
I'm seeing things. I'm hearing things.
Well, even with marketing, so most people attribute marketing to like ads. That's advertising.
Sure.
Marketing in itself is also, like, as we mentioned, networking. So there's, knowing people. Like, the reason you're on this podcast, for example, is because you know Chunky and Chunky knows you. That's marketing, And so we also wanted to touch on for people watching this was booking agents. Like booking agents, they're a marketing tool because guess what? They market as in they get you in front of, they get you a show, which gets you in front of people. So how have you in the past worked with booking agents? Another thing that some artists do get pissed off about is, they take money and it took them like 3 minutes to do this thing. Why do they get that cut? And why are you happy to give them that cut?
Yeah. The last few tours I've done, I've kind of done mainly independently. I've had a manager here and there that's kind of stepped in and has guided me through it. Or in the last one, I had my old manager and Cam do a lot of the heavy lifting. So we didn't necessarily have a booking agent in the past. Yeah. I think going forward, it's a necessity. I think it's something that not only to take the stress away from people who don't need that. Like that wasn't their job. Cam's job was to create the show, and his job was to perform the show. He doesn't need to be liaising with venues, nor did my manager.
Because that's his time as well.
That's his time, and Cam's always, Cam will just do whatever. But there's only one Cam. Like nobody else will do that for you. Like he's just goes above and beyond for everyone, and it's not fair on him. Yeah, and also he's not experienced in that field. Like
it's not his expertise.
He did an incredible job of it. But I think if we had someone, and again, I barely broke even on that whole tour. Yeah. But I would rather have, I take that back. I have no regrets on that last tour. I think it was great. It was everything I wanted to achieve, and I was happy with how it went. But I wouldn't do it again. Yeah. I wouldn't have changed anything necessarily, but I wouldn't do it again. It was lessons. It was trial and error. It was what I got out of it, what I put into it. Like I understood what I wanted to get out of it. I think I achieved that. I showed everyone I was back. I got to reconnect with old fans and old friends, and also just put on a show for my friends and family in the Sydney show at least. So, but I think going forward, you need that booking agency. You need that tour manager. There are so many fingers in the pie. Like people don't get it. Like people will, and it's expensive. Of course it is. Like you look at people like Jess Malboy will charge, I don't know, $50,000 for a show, and people will be like, "Whoa,
yeah, that's a lot of money."
Holy, why? Okay, I want to be friends with Jess Malboy, and yes, you probably still do want to be friends with Jess Malboy. She's a lovely individual, but she doesn't get $50,000.
Nah, that's the gross amount.
That's the gross amount. She'll still walk away with a hell of a lot more than anyone else will. But she wouldn't have got, if she had done it all herself and she had planned the whole thing herself, and she might have got a fifth of that, and it would be let's say from the $50,000 she takes 30. I'm just pulling figures out of my ass. But if she had, and you're like, well, if she'd done it herself, she could have had that extra $20,000. Like what? Why would she not? But if she'd done it herself, I can guarantee you she wouldn't have got $50,000. Yeah. She may have got $20,000, and then she's 10 less than she started with. So
on top of all the other costs that she still would have had to pay.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm a strong believer in, I would rather have a small percentage of a bigger pie than I would having a larger percentage of a smaller pie, because it's, even though, as you said, like, it took them 3 minutes to do this, why am I giving them such a large percentage? It took them 3 minutes to do it because they know what they're doing, and they're a professional, and they're probably the best at it, and I can guarantee they're better than you at it.
And you're buying into their previous hard work. You know, like we've touched this with, why would you use a producer when you can do it yourself? It's like, well, you probably can't do it as good.
Yeah.
Also, the fee with the booking agent, with the producer, with the manager, the fee, and like, look, are all of them worth the fee they're charging? No.
Not necessarily, no.
Are some of them worth more than the fee they're charging? Yes.
Of course, yeah.
But that fee is like time you don't get back.
Yeah.
And you're buying as well, like, all right, my fee to this booking agent, for example, they've already networked with this many people. All I'm doing is like, the money is just a form of energy, but I'm transferring this money to this guy or girl to be like, hey, I need a show. And they go, cool, we know this guy. And so you're paying that for that connection that now has, like, you don't know, like, to get that if you do it on yourself.
Yeah.
You're just another artist hitting up another venue, and now you got to schmoo them, and they're like, dude, we don't give a shit, like,
exactly.
F off.
Yeah.
But now by you going to him, paying him because this person trusts them, you're buying that. And that's what, you know, you're saving yourself, who knows, weeks, months, maybe never.
Yeah.
If by a small fee of, what is it, like maybe 10, 20%, whatever it is.
Exactly.
Like, that's the important thing to look at.
And I mean, I was about to use another example of the cover scene and people being like, we're severely overpaid, and we probably are, to be fair. But like, I'll put it in a super, super simple terms of, you go to a doctor, you go for a half-hour consult, they charge you $100. You're like, well, that's kind of taking the piss. Like, he's just told me I have a cold. I could have told you that and saved myself $100. But they've also gone to 10 years of medical school and have the experience. And I can guarantee you I would rather have a doctor in there than your auntie sitting there being like, it's probably a cold, when the doctor's like, it might be worse.
Yeah.
I would rather have that.
You're paying for the
You're paying
minimum
for
risk.
Exactly. You're not paying for, even though it took them 2 seconds to do, and it would have been an effortless thing for them to do, and they would have looked at you and it would have taken them 2 seconds to be like, stop being a little bitch. You're fine. I'm not writing you a doctor's note. Go to work tomorrow. But you still, like, you need that. You need that trust of, yes, I am, like, it's shit that I have to pay this, but also, like,
You're paying for their previous
you're
hard
paying,
work, 100%.
exactly. It's the same in any industry. This is no different. If you want to do the job yourself, go for gold.
And you realize how fucking hard it is.
Exactly. You can perform open heart surgery on your partner whenever you like. I can guarantee you
It's
it
worth
won't end well.
it's worth the $0 you're paying.
Exactly. It's you get out what you put in. I think is the moral of this whole story.
But that's the thing too with the business side of it. You know, like, this is the tricky thing with arts, especially music, where it's so gray. You know, like acting, at least it's like they pay you, you act, then they reap all the rewards because they've taken the risk. With music, unfortunately, the way in which it's structured is typically very fucking grey.
Yeah.
You know, so and
there's also no anything like it. There's no step-by-step process. I'd say it's probably, even in acting, there's a little bit of you go to school, you get an agent, you audition, you get gigs, or you don't get gigs. If you shit, you're not going to get gigs. But even there's sort of a step-by-step. Like, if you want to be a doctor, you study your ass off in high school, you get into a good university, you study there, you do some pracs, you do this, you do that, you become a doctor. If you want to do anything in the world, there is a guaranteed step-by-step of, hey, I want to be this. Like, you have your career advisors at school or whatever, where you're like, I want to do this as a job. And they'll say, sick. Well, this here is a fuck ton of pamphlets. Here is your instruction manual to life. Go for gold. When I went in and I was like, I want to be a musician, she was like, good luck, bro. Have fun. Here's your instruction manual, which is the piece of paper saying you're fucked.
go this way.
Do what you want. But there's nothing. There is no guaranteed.
Because there's so many routes.
There is. And even in another elite field, like music and sport are so often compared in the sense of, you have that celebrity status and you have people who are here and you have people who are here and you have a little bit in between, but you don't hear about them. Even with I could have played for Real Madrid, but I just didn't have the right connections. Fuck off. If you wanted to play for Real Madrid, you probably would have been signed at 4 years old to begin with. And you probably would have been there's that connection. But also, if you're good at something, you work your way, like, even there is a step-by-step. Yeah. There is luck along the way. There's luck to everything.
There's also,
but
there's your immediate circle of people, like advice, like, I mean, I don't know if you watched The Last Dance with MJ.
I haven't yet, but I've heard great things
Dude,
about it.
in the first 1 or 2 episodes was when I was like, literally, it was the people around him from even the fucking beginning. Yeah. Like, he was going to go back for another year of college, and his coach is like, no, go to the NBA. Yeah. And luckily his mom was like, it's probably a smart idea. Yeah. Whereas the difference as well, where there's the opposite, and this does happen a lot, I talk about the Paul brothers a lot, the YouTubers. his dad. So Logan Paul made $100,000 off of Vine, which is fucked. So much money.
It's disgusting.
And his dad, he was like, Dad, I'm going to move to LA and pursue this shit. And his dad, Greg Paul, was like, all right. And then they were telling him recently that his dad had friends going, you're making a mistake. He's like, he just made more money than you make in a year from 6 seconds.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he goes, no, but you're making a mistake. He shouldn't go to there. It's too risky. And he's like, well, fuck you. I'm letting him do it.
Yeah.
Some parents wouldn't.
That's the thing.
They would let that pressure cripple them. And then, like how many players or how many musicians could have been another MJ, could have been like a Drake, but because of their network being, that's not safe. That's not this. So, like you're making a mistake by taking a risk that we'll never know about.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, and I'm so incredibly lucky with the network I have. I went to a really good school, a very academically driven school.
Yeah.
And a lot of the ideology of that school is you come out and you best believe you're going to be a CEO, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be a doctor. That's the structure. I mean, you have cases, Hugh Jackman went there as well. So there are still structures of, hey, actually it can happen, but and they were incredibly supportive of what I was doing, and they were kind of like, just show up to class. Like, you just don't fight your teachers. Like, can you just show up? Like, we get that you don't want to be here.
Yeah.
But your parents have put you into this school for a reason. So just don't be a dick. It was actually sat down with the headmaster, and he was like, can you just stop fucking around? Like, I couldn't give a shit. I had my year 12 maths teacher was one of my favorite people on the planet, because she just she was my math teacher all through school. And she knew I could not give a shit. And so it got to year 12, and I would go into class and she'd be like, here's a pillow, fuck off to the back of the room, can you just not disturb me? Like, I'm going to teach the other 29 kids. If you want to contribute, I'm happy to do so, but just don't be a pest. Like, just do your shit in the back of the class. Well, and it's people like that who I've spoken to her recently, and she'd like something on my Facebook page or something. So, and she was like, "Oh, good to see you're still doing it." I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing some cool stuff. Like, it's great. I'm really happy."
That's the thing. Like, people don't expect,
Yeah, it's and
most people quit.
People are like, "Oh, they'll give it up." She was one of the people that was like, "I believe you can do it, and I really hope you do." And she was kind of like, she was like, "I'm glad to see that you are still doing it, because if I had seen on your page that you are now working in marketing somewhere, I would have been furious."
Oh, you're accountant.
Well, yeah, furious. And she's like, I would have been super mad that you're not pursuing what you wanted to do, because you were so adamant that that's what you wanted to do, and just because it's been a rough few years, like, if you wanted to work in marketing, I would have pulled your finger out of your ass and told you that you needed to do this, which was my job. But because I cared, and because there were so many people in my life growing up who were like, you probably should pull your finger out and do something. But also, I get that this is what you want to do. Even if they were like, he's going to be so fucked, they're like, he needs to make that. He needs to see that for himself.
100%.
And my mum and all my family have been so incredibly supportive of me. And I remember her going up to school one day, being called in once a week maybe, and going in and seeing the head of it might have been the head of academics or something, or someone who was really high up in the school, and us being in a classroom, and I was a prefect as well for co-curricular.
Oh,
so
okay, that makes sense, yeah.
a prefect that
turning up.
that doesn't mean anything. And I remember us sitting in a room, and it was people were fighting for I slept through the prefect ceremony. They called my name out.
Were you ever awake at school?
No, never. I'm seeing a common theme. That's why I'm always up now, because I had 12 years of just sleeping.
Dude, well, I love it. As I was talking to him while you went out quickly, I'm like, so how's your day, man? Man, so busy. I woke up at 8, and I was like, Oh, that's early. I'm like,
I've had no sleep.
I'm like, well,
yeah.
that's the thing. I'm like, because as I was saying to you, I'm like,
Yeah.
he every time I'm like, all right, we're doing a podcast, bro. Can we get our first guest in at 9:30? He's like, bro.
PM? Maybe.
Like, yeah.
Like, what
I'm
do you-
like, dude,
who do you
I've
think
been
these
up since
people are?
5:30, man.
Yeah, you're mad.
That's why I'm also probably not a successful musician. I don't
Well,
sleep in.
I mean, if I was up at 5:30 in the morning, I'd probably get a hell of a lot done as well. In hindsight, I feel like I'm probably the one in the wrong here. But yeah, I remember us having a meeting and having slept through the prefect. I remember my drummer Mark calling me, and it was like 9:30, and I was like, "What? Like, what do you want?" He's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm in bed." He's like, "School starts at 8:20, bro." And I'm like, "It's fine. I had maths first period. Like, I would be sleeping anyway."
I'm just cutting out the
I'm
commute.
just cutting out the middleman. I'm just here anyway. I'm just doing homework. And he was like, "Yeah, we're doing the prefect. Like, there's an assembly happening now." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Like, who got shit?" He's like, "Well, you did." I was like, "Oh, all right, Mark." Sure, I did, bro. No worries. You do you, mate. And he's like, "No, they called you out and you weren't there. Everyone else was there and got their black ties and was super excited about it, but you weren't there, and it wasn't unexpected." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I just remember us sitting down, my mum and this head of academics guy, and sitting down and him being like, "The fuck?" Like, in short. And he was like, "Look,"
Paraphrasing.
Sure, he didn't say those exact words. But he sat down and he was, everyone was always super supportive, and I have nothing bad to say about the school, and I wouldn't be the man or probably even the musician I am if it wasn't for how much they nurtured me. And I remember just sitting in that room and him being like, obviously, because his job was to make sure everyone got the best marks and make sure everyone was working hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, "David's been sleeping through classes or not showing up or fighting with teachers."
because he wasn't allowed to sleep.
Because he wasn't allowed to sleep, and he was super grumpy about it because that's his nap time. And you don't wake David up from a nap. And I just remember him sitting there and being like, if he doesn't pull his finger out, like, we're going to take his prefectship off him. And I was like,
Here you go.
"You're welcome. I'll cut out the middleman again. You have it." I wasn't even there. As far as I'm aware, I had nothing. And like, because that was a huge threat. And because it's a great thing to put on a resume that you were a prefect at this school and da 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 da.
'Cause that's what I look for in a musician.
I'm like, next time I go into a record label, here are my songs, but fuck that.
Prefect.
I was prefect in 2015, so I'll take a $2 million advance, maybe. Co-curricular, 1.5, that's fair. And I remember thinking, who the fuck, like, this is such bullshit. Like, who cares? And then I thought, like, oh, all those kids that, like, actually work their ass off and apply themselves and, like, wanted to be a prefect. Like, I guess I should do. I didn't end up doing it. There was 2 seconds there. I was like, maybe I should, like, whatever. And Mom was like, "Is he being disrespectful?" And he was like, "I mean, he's not being like, he's sleeping through classes." And she's like, "Well, is he bullying anyone?" And he was like, "Not, like, he seems reasonably well liked to an extent, as much as he can be likable when he's asleep half the time." And she's like, is he offending anyone? Is he bullying anyone? Is he being a dick?" And he was like, "Well, I guess."
Well, it's the expectation again, the status quo.
Well, yes.
You know,
Well, he was like,
he's not doing what we expect him to do at school.
exactly. He was like, "Well, he's not doing, like, he's not studying, and he's not." And she's like, Is he being a good person?" And he was kind of like,
Fuck.
What
the
is
parents
that?
in here before were like complaining because my son got a B+, and like we were having a full fight and they were whipping him in the chair. Like, what do you mean? Is he? And she was like, is he being a good person? And he was like, I don't really know. I guess I haven't had many complaints from teachers and stuff. I guess. And she was like, you can take the prefectship. If somebody else deserves it more than him, then go for gold. And he's like, well, I guess he did deserve it for the co-curricular stuff. And she was like, well, there you go.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though.
But
like,
that was,
it's
she was like,
expectations.
if he doesn't want to study and he doesn't want to do anything. My younger brother, who finished 3 years later, got 99.35. So she knew that one was coming up. She was like, trial and error.
She was playing. It was a risk factor, really.
Trial and error. All his teachers didn't. Yeah, exactly. None of his teachers knew we were related until graduation, and they were like, "How the fuck?"
You were awake at every single class.
What? And early, and like studying. And he's now doing his. You know, he's got
He's
a
a CEO.
He's great. Bill Gates. Benjamin Button thing. It's but you know, he wants to be a physio, and so he's doing what a lot of the kids did when they went to that school. He went to the career advisor and said, "I want to be a physio," and she said, "This is what you do." And now he's following that step by step. And in a few years, he'll
And
be
that
a
works
physio,
great for some people.
and he can buy me a house and fund my next
Great.
album, and it'll be great. He doesn't know it yet, so James, thanks,
Checks
mate.
in the mail.
Yeah. Here's my bill. This is Big Brother payment. But yeah, she was like, and it was the first time in my life, like she'd always supported me, and she, to come back to Cam and I met 8 years ago when he did my first song for me, and she was there in the session. Like she drove me and was like there, and he's like, you can like chill in here if you want, or you can wait outside. Like a lot of people like aren't in, and she's like, if it's cool, like I want to be part of the process, like I want to see it happen, like I want to be here to, if you don't want me here, like I'll fuck off. And I was like, no, like I think I would like you to be here. And she was the first one that I still remember Cam sending over the song for the first time, and us like sitting in the living room and just like crying listening to it. And it's fucking awful song. Looking back on it now, Cam did a great job, but it was just a really shit song. But I remember
That's
at the
why
time,
she was crying.
she was like, fuck, what have I done? At least we've got James, I suppose.
He's 11 at the moment.
He's destined for good things. But yeah, I just remember sitting there, and it was just such an overwhelming experience, because she was like, is this what you want to do? And I was like, yeah, I think it is. And she's like, all right, well, let's do it. And like, there'd always been moments like that along the time where I was like, she supports me and everything and whatever. But then it was in that where she was like, is he being a dick? And he was like, no. And she's like, well, the second he's being a dick or he burns something, give me a call. But until then, like,
It doesn't matter.
I don't need to come up here every week. If he's not doing what he needs to at school, then like that's on him. Like if he doesn't want to study, it's his life. I'm not going to control him. If he wants to, really hope he doesn't live with me till he's 40. Moved out already and I'm 22. So I'll see you in 5 years, Mum. But she was like, you know, if that's what he wants to do and he wants to take the risk to do that and he is passionate about it, as long as he's a good, like I've not raised him to be a lawyer. I've done my best to raise him to be a decent human being for the most part.
Yeah.
If he wants to come here and fuck around all day, as long as he's not offending someone or being disrespectful besides sleeping in the back of the class, if he's not doing anything that is directly being a bad person, then like I've done my job, and I'm happy with him doing what he wants to do. Like if he wants to spend all his time, I know it's not the school's way, sorry about it, like take off the prefectship if you need to, do this, do that, do what you need to do. But at the end of the day, you've got me in here because you wanted to inform me of what's going on. You wanted to inform me that he's not working. I'm well aware he's not working. He doesn't leave the house till 10 o'clock most days. School doesn't start later for everyone else. Like I'm aware of what's going on.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good you had that.
She's
though.
like, I don't not care. I wish he was doing work, but I'm also not going to be over his shoulder the whole time. I'm going to, if that's what he wants to do, I'm going to support him with every decision, and it's his life and he has to make those calls.
Yeah,
and
she allowed you to do.
She
like,
did,
fail
and
forward basically.
She did, and there was a few years straight after school where I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and the Peak agency, Tim Kirkland at Peak, came along and started giving me some cover gigs, and I was like, great, I'm making a lot of money for an 18, 19-year-old. Even as an adult, I'm like, I'm getting far too much for what I'm doing, really. This is like, I don't understand. Like, we're a tax write-off most of the time for venues, which is fine because pays my bills.
Oh,
But-
that's another thing. You got to learn how to work that
You
the
do.
tax system. Like, it's not
It's-
about the gross.
it's
Again, it's about the
crazy.
net.
It's about the net. So.
100%.
But yeah, I just remember that and being a defining moment in my life where I was like, shit. Okay, because there was I guess there was always that thing in the back of my head of, oh, she's going to just tell me to pull my finger out and I'm going to have to do this and they're not going to, she supported me all this way because she believes in me, but there's also the thing of, what are you going to do if it doesn't work out? Like there's always been that, well,
Yeah, how do you make it work?
not only how do you make it work? Because I didn't know. I was like, honestly, Mum, I have no idea. And there was a good 2-3 years where I had absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
And then there's always the, well, what's your plan B if it doesn't work? That was the first time, I think, in my life where with an absolute certainty, she was like, he doesn't have a plan B and that's cool. He'll sort it out along the way. If he doesn't, well, I've done what I can. And I just remember leaving that meeting and being like, can I go home? And she's like, no, you have 6 hours left in the day. Fucking, what did we just talk about? But
I thought it was a green light to sleep.
I thought that was all good to just stay at home all day.
I'm still a good person at home.
I
Mum.
can be great at home. I'll take out the trash once a week. Like, and I just remember that and thinking, fuck, okay. Because I had just been dicking around and I'd been like going into the music rooms and jamming out, but I had not done anything productive.
Yeah.
And I just remember just being there after that meeting and being like, fuck, okay. Like, I'd kind of always expected someone to be like, well, you need a plan B. And that was the first time in my life where I was like, oh, shit. This is the real thing that's happening right now.
Yeah, wow. So it's funny
Shit.
enough, it's like the opposite. So
Well, it is. It was
because
the-
they didn't, because you expected them to do what maybe now
Pretty
we're
much
finding out
everyone
most
else would do,
most
yeah.
parents do. But your mum not giving you that, not giving you
It was kind of a
safety
kick up
um,
the ass in
safety
the other
net.
direction of,
Yeah,
I'm going to,
you're either going to be homeless or a musician.
yeah, she's like, I'll be here if you fall, I guess. But like,
Don't rely on it.
yeah, she's like, you'll still be paying rent here. Like,
Yeah.
well, that was the thing as well. Like, as soon as I turned 18, she was like, you want to work as a professional musician? Like, you'll be paying rent here. Like, if you're not going to go to uni, like, and you want to make it work, not even as, like, it was nothing.
Yeah.
It's like $100 a week or something super small, but it was
The premise.
the premise of it was enough for me to be like, oh shit, I need to go and make some money so I can pay bills and I have to sustain myself and I have to do it because there's no backup, there's no anything.
Yeah.
And
Now it's do or die.
now it's do or die. And I again after that meeting, I remember calling Pete Hulls, and because we'd met a year or so ago and recorded a song out at the Sony studios because I won a band competition or some shit, and we
nice.
did that, and it was god awful. But I met Pete and we connected, and it was great.
It was an award nonetheless.
It did what it did, and we had a lot of fun. But I remember calling Pete and being like, "What do I do?"
Yeah.
Like, and just hand in hand for the first time in my life, being like, "Help."
Yeah.
Like I don't know. And he's like, well, let's like write some stuff. Like, do you have any songs ready? And I was like, yeah, I have a few things. And we wrote one of the songs together, and then Keep Falling. He was like, I got this idea, and I was like, this is fucking incredible. And then I like changed up some stuff and added some stuff and added a verse and did this and did that. And we worked together like for pretty much the rest of year 12. I went in to take exams, and then I was going into the studio to finish stuff off. And I have Pete to thank for so much. Like, he didn't charge me for studio time. I paid a very, very, very minimal fee at the end of a 10-track album, which he produced and played everything on and mixed and mastered and did everything. Like,
Yeah, wow.
it's disgusting. Like, I look back on that and I'm like, I kind of hate myself that I didn't give him what at the time I was like, I don't have that money.
Yeah,
But
he
did something.
didn't do it like with
Exactly,
expectation. Like he did it out of the goodness of his
He did
heart.
that because he believed in me and he genuinely wanted to help. And I think
Yeah.
there's been so many people in my life that have given their time or given their energy or given their just done things for me which they wouldn't necessarily. I mean, people like Cam would just do anything for anyone, and I love him to bits, and I talk shit to him all the time. We fuck around, but like I wouldn't be the musician or the person that I am without Cam and without people like Cam who have driven me and not only have given me opportunities and ridiculously stupid rates on things, but I guess it kind of also had that, not that it was their intention, but it kind of gave me that thing of fuck, like Pete's just given me 2.5 years of his time for no money, and Cam's given me 10 years of his time, and Michael McGlynn and yourself and people who have, and Robbie Walcott who does all my creative stuff.
Oh, you know Robbie.
I was there
shit.
this morning before my meeting. He was giving me his old laptop because mine
No
doesn't
fucking
work.
way, because he's one that filmed my shows and
shit.
stuff. He filmed one of my film clips back in the day too.
Right. Yeah, Robbie's my like creative director.
Random.
So
Fuck.
it's not Sydney. It's pretty. Everyone knows everyone.
Yeah, but it's just it still is funny. You're just like,
Yeah.
huh?
But yeah, it's having those people who have supported me along the way, and mum and everyone in the industry, where it's like, now I'm not just, I don't know, I don't want to make it sound cliche and corny, but now I'm not just doing it for me.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if I quit tomorrow, I would have, and again, not anyone's intention to make me feel like that, but I would have let down
For sure.
those people. Who have
But you
given
need that
their
pressure.
time.
You
Well,
know,
you do,
if there's no pressure,
There's
then
no-
like it's like if you give a free show
Yeah.
or you give someone free tickets,
Yeah, they're probably not.
they're like, oh, I really have an itchy foot today.
yeah, fuck.
I just won't come. Whereas if they've paid $300 for a ticket, bro, they could fucking
Which
roll
is
their
what I'm selling the new tickets at, by the way.
worth
so.
every cent. But
DavidTaylor.com.
But that's the thing. Like if you were paying $300 for a ticket, you rolled your ankle. If you can like
You
still
broke your leg, you're there.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Crutches
like
and all.
you will find a way, and
Yeah.
like that's the thing. You've got now. You need this pressure.
You need that.
Because otherwise, there is like it is easy to just be like, I'll stay at home,
Yeah,
or
fuck it.
I won't write. I'll write a song tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
maybe
you,
tomorrow.
you need that pressure, and you need that point of the pressure of letting people down, but also the pressure of I want to be successful, and I want to make enough and do enough that I can give back to the people that have helped me along the way, and give them not even give back, just give them what they deserved.
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
be
they
doing
see
it
you
in
go
the
a
first
certain
place.
way, and them seeing that was like, all right, I invested my time in him enough.
Yeah. Well, not like exactly. Like I want to be able to get to a point where I'm making enough money from it that I can pay them the rates that they charge normal. Well, exactly, that they charge, and that and more, because they deserve to be paid that, and and not have to, because I hate every time when I go into, I mean I love it, but I hate when I go into the studio with Cam and we produce something and I'm like, how much is that gonna? He's like, oh, I usually charge this, but like, I'll charge this, and
But
I hate
also,
being
like-
able. I have to be like, well,
Yeah.
I want to be, I can't,
Yeah.
so I will take that.
But that's also the thing, like, you know, and again, like where this is, I mean, it's business, but it also is personal. Like, you know, there is layers to
Yeah,
it.
of course,
And
like an onion,
yeah.
like an onion.
So yeah. But
What?
cool beans. We've covered a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like I know your mum really well.
It's just great.
Great big shout out, Mrs. David. And
Yeah.
yeah, your mum is Mrs. Chunky.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
it makes sense.
Makes sense.
What's
Uh,
the time?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's a time.
It's good. It's been a jam. But
Whoops.
so
Yeah, sick.
where can they find you on the socials?
Yeah, let's do it. That's davidtaylormusic.com.au.
David
or
Taylor Music.
David Taylor Music, Instagram, Facebook.
Love it.
Anywhere you can find anything, I'll be there.
We shall put the
Except for
things on.
TikTok. I haven't done it yet. Everyone tells me I need to, but
TikTok advocates right here. Get on it.
I can't be fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
you say that, but it's all for them views.
By the time this goes up, I'll be on TikTok. David Taylor Music.
All right, cool guys.
Oh, yeah,
that was
yeah.
good.
Sweet.
Fucks.
Happy.
100%.
If you still haven't subscribed,
Yeah.
what
Please
the
do
fuck?
so.
Just do it.
Hurry up.
Just hurry up, guys, please. I love you. But,
See you guys next time.
Thank you, David.
Thank you,
Love it to
man.
meet you
Yeah.
finally.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for
Nice to
having
see
me.
your face again.
Don't let me hanging, bitch. You let me hanging again? Two in a row. 1.5 meters distance. All right, peace. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.